Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club. Tonight we're joined by singer-songwriter Heidi Browne. Hello Heidi, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Really good, thanks for coming on the show. Um, you are, well, you're about to release your sixth album, Spirits Alive, so you are an
Yeah.
established artist, yeah? Um, and you are an artist with some pedigree as well, as I've found out as I've been doing a little bit of research into you, but I'm sure we'll get on to that. Tell me how you got to where you are now.
Um, I've just been writing for as long as I remember. As soon as I was able to write, I started writing. I was writing stories from in an early age, and when I was tall enough to be able to reach the piano, so I guess like 3,
Yeah.
I was kind of playing piano like that above my head. So it's just something I've always done and always will do, I guess. Just music is everything to me, so I've just always done it and always will.
Yeah. I interviewed another singer-songwriter the other day who confessed that her one of her earlier songs was she was very, very young when she wrote it. And I read in an interview that you said that you started writing around about the age of 15. Can you remember the lyrics to your first song?
Well, the first one was actually when I was 6, and it was a song
Oh,
called "Animals Are Nice." Yeah, animals are nice, animals are nice, animals are nice. So look at them twice was the words.
awesome.
So that's my first official song. But then I think it would have been so I was 15. I was writing a song about unrequited love, and it was a song called "Good Friend," and it
Okay.
was about being friend zoned. So it said, "Don't touch my hand and tell me I'm a good friend. Lean across me to get a better view of that girl with the eyes who makes your heart jump inside because she doesn't love you like I do."
Wow, at 15. That's quite deep at 15, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was instead of revising for my GCSEs, I was writing songs. So God knows how I managed to get good grades.
I would normally, well, no, I'll ask you this question first, because in my research of you, you were invited to Abbey Road. What was that like?
That was a whirlwind. I didn't even know. I don't really. I still don't know my way around London. I live quite near to London now, but yes, I went into Maida Vale and Abbey Road Studios until you reminded me. I didn't even remember that happened. But yeah, it was. I think it came a little bit too early in my music career because at that time I didn't have the wherewithal or the industry understanding to really make use of that day. There were loads of people there, loads of celebrities and like influencers and DJs and everything. It was a BBC introducing sort of talent scout day, and
Mm.
I'd been picked from my region. And the only person I did recognise was Steve Lamack.
Oh,
So I crossed, the zebra crossing, the famous one. I crossed that crossing, chatting to Steve Lamack, which was a really bizarre experience. And then we got these tours. We would sit in different music rooms. I remember sitting cross-legged in a room, and I'm not sure if it was Maida Vale or Abbey Road now because we kind of were just herded different places. I remember the sandwiches being very bland, disappointing. They were Abbey Road egg and cress sandwiches, just dry, not exciting at all. But we were sat cross-legged in this room, and Tom Robinson was talking about writer's block. And he said, has anyone here ever suffered from writer's block? And loads of people put their hand up. Jake Bugg was there, and he put his hand up too. And I didn't put my hand up because I was like, no, I've never suffered writer's block because I've never thought, right, today between 10 and 12, I have to write a song. If I fancy writing a song, I do. So I don't ever put myself under pressure. But yeah, there was some interesting talks. I think Zane Lowe did a talk. And we just had like this absolute whirlwind of a day, sitting in different places, being talked at by people that knew a lot of stuff. And I just walked past people like Hugh Stevens. I had no idea I should be giving my CD to these, because I've always been a bit like kind of behind the times technology wise. I've always listened to old music, not really been up to date with like what's in the charts. Like right now, it's taken us a while for us to get online to do this thing because I haven't got a Zoom. I don't know how to download Chrome. Like, I'm probably better suited to an analog world. So similarly, at this day, I didn't really know what was going on, who was there to talk to. So yeah, I was in Abbey Road. I thought, oh yeah, I did go there because actually I did have a picture on the steps. Remember that in my Parker.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'd
That what?
definitely like to go back there now that
Yeah.
I've got more experience. I would make more out of the day. I'd know, who to talk to. And at that time as well, I hadn't recorded my first album, but I'd recorded my first demo, and there were about 20 songs on there of like all sorts of interesting. And we'd recorded it at home on like this antiquated recording technology. And I had this like little CD, and it was just hand drawn on, and I gave it to Steve Lamacq. But these weren't even like high quality demos. One of the songs on there, though, funnily enough, called Cheese Dreams, was which I'd written when I was like 20. I have just recorded that and just signed it off for the new album. So Spirits Alive is coming out in a couple of weeks. And Cheese Dreams, which was on that demo that I gave to Steve Lamacq 15 years ago,
Yeah.
finally been recorded now. So
Superb. But that's a great story. It's a great way to kind of like come round and complete the circle, isn't it? That you can get to that
yeah,
stage, yeah, and still appreciate the song that you wrote when you were a lot younger. You
that's
still
it. Yeah.
identify with the sentiments in it, which is really, really good.
Yeah, I think funnily enough, there's a lot of songs from my early 20s that I still gig now, and they're really quite sophisticated because I've always been like although I'm quite outgoing, I'm very much of a reflective person, and I've always sort of taken myself off into my own room and had that space to just, write music and think. And yeah, so all the songs I wrote even very early on were very insightful because we had this band when I was 8, me and my sister and this other girl, and we wrote a song about like marital discord and sort of middle-aged romance of a woman who doesn't mind her husband with a beer belly because it's all about how he treats her. And yeah, it was
And
quite funny. It's like I think we always used to sit at the table with the adults and just like sponges
yeah,
absorb so much knowledge about life. So even though at 14 I hadn't probably even kissed a boy, I knew so much about romance and
yeah.
life.
And that's what good writers do, though, isn't it? Good writers do actually absorb the atmosphere, other people's experiences, mix it in with their own,
Mm.
and then create a almost like a new reality for people to bond with. So that's good. That yeah, I like that. Yeah, I must remember that one. Um, one of the things that I was going to ask you is what is your writing process? And you've said that you don't want to discipline yourself, that you like to write in the moment. So do you have like lots of notepads and voice messages to yourself, things like that?
Yeah, and I kind of have a bit of an allergy to process. As soon as anything seems like organized and an obligation, I don't like it. So I don't really ever stick to the same way of writing, and it's kind of very instantaneous or not at all. I never really labor writing a song. It's always just feeling an emotion, channeling it, or seeing something, or an experience, or a nice chord, a little riff, whatever comes to me. It doesn't necessarily, it's neither like melody first, words first, chords
Hmm.
first. It's any of that.
Yeah,
As soon as it comes, I just pick up a guitar, stick my phone voice notes recorder thingy on, and capture it straight away.
yeah.
And I try and just write it straight away then, because I have hundreds of voice notes that are germs of ideas that haven't come into fruition. And I just don't think unless you follow it then and there that it will really fully
Mm.
grow. It does feel a little bit contrived to go back to it when you're not in the moment. Having said that, I've just recorded a song called Dead Leaves, which I wrote just in this like daydreamy state, because I always think, I kind of call it a sideways space. You know, when you're really like organized and you're in that kind of analytical, logical frame of mind. I think that's like the opposite of writing mode. Writing mode, you got to be like tired. Some people need like drugs or whatever to help them. I'm usually like tired and reflective, and then I'm just hardly aware of the action. It's just the song is flowing out. But so I'd written a song in that kind of a state, and it was just words that flowed with the music, and therefore there wasn't really a memory for me to revisit when I went back to that voice note. So it was always just a half song, and I've finished it now, and it's on this new album, and it's actually my favorite song on the album. It's like really driving. It sounds kind of like an epic Fleetwood Mac, but a bit more modernized kind of song.
Nice.
So I'm so glad that that's one that has been like rejuvenated.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow. So you said you hadn't suffered from writer's block. Have you had it since? No.
Well, the only time that I can say that I felt some kind of a disconnect between me and my creativity was over lockdown. Just being told that music wasn't a valid occupation, and that whole narrative around it. I was disappointed that this was my reaction, but for some reason it made me shut down creatively. And I noticed if I went to a guitar to try and sing, my voice was choked up. And the first time, because I hadn't seen my parents for ages, and their music room is where a lot of the songs have been developed, I went over there to visit, and I plugged in, and I heard my voice through a microphone for the first time in like 12 months, and it brought me to tears, because I'd just been so disconnected with that. It's your soul, isn't it? You'd sing when you sing, it's like there's something else to it, something really you put. And I'd gone completely into my shell, music wise. I was doing the odd thing. I was going live on Facebook after a while, but yeah, there was definitely a period of time there where I just felt like a clown, just like, because I wasn't allowed to. Instead of having a rebel spirit and being like, yes, for some reason I didn't write them for several months. Like I think I probably only write 2 songs in a year, whereas I can write 2 songs in a week, like I have done this week. So
Yeah, yeah. I normally ask where the music comes from in you. So is it like a family member? Is it something like that? But your dad is a musician, isn't he? And toured with Barclay James Harvest, Kate Bush, and I think he did some work with Dave Gilmour. I'm not sure. I may have misread that at some point. Now, working with Kate Bush, I heard a rumor, and I don't know if it was your dad. If it was your dad, this is like the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. But one of the guys that was touring with Kate Bush wrote the English lyrics to 99 Red Balloons. You know, the horrible German
oh
pop song.
yeah, it wasn't him, but I know that
Yeah,
one of them did. My dad's not bilingual in German. I kind of am, because I did German at uni, but
right. I was going to say that would have been a real good kind of like story for parties. My dad wrote 99 Red Balloons.
yeah, I'm afraid not.
No, okay, okay.
I have to think of a new party story.
Yeah. So there was obviously a lot of music in the house as you were growing up then.
Yes, but less than you'd think, because so my dad would be away for like 3 months, and he'd come back, and he'd always bring us a Toblerone, because that was like really exotic in the 90s. So he'd come back from Germany and Switzerland on these tours, and he'd have chubby cheeks because he'd have had really nice catering the whole time. But the last thing he wanted to do then is play music, because he'd just been on this intense time. So yeah, there were instruments in the house, and for me, I always gravitated towards playing them. Um, and but I wouldn't say that my dad plays music a lot at home.
Okay.
He's. I think my exposure to great music came from my mum and dad. They'd be listening to old records, and I'm really lucky they had good music taste, because that just I absorbed so much from that. So and then, when we were young, we did get taken out of school and we went on to a few like tour dates with, I remember I was like 6. And do you remember Sonia?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I met Sonia. She gave me a Lucozade. We were up at the top. So we went to, I think this was Barclay James Harvest tour. We went to York on the train. It was me, my mum, and my sister, and we managed to join him on a tour. And I think I was only in reception, so I skived off a few days of school because I could already
Yeah.
do spell cat and hat and all that. So I remember on the way, I was writing a story about a rabbit and illustrating it. I think it was a 1-page story, with the end with a massive circle and full
Yeah,
stop.
yeah, yeah.
And then we got to York and we went to this gig, and it was a huge venue, or it seemed it when I was, 4 foot.
Yeah.
And we were up in the sound booth, like looking over, because I think we were in the sound and lighting booth, and Sonia was in there, and she was like, do you like Lucozade? That's not really a very good accent.
It's not,
I
no.
was like,
Do you like Lucozade,
we
love?
Lucozade, just
Lucozade.
Lucozade. And I'd never had Lucozade before because my mum is like very on it with like health and nutrition. So
Yeah.
me and my sister are absolutely off our rockers on fizzy drinks and free
Yeah.
cheesecake. That was my first bit of cheesecake as well.
Oh my God. You must have been terrors.
Yeah, we were just running around these trestle tables, and then at the end, these like smelly, hairy men came back with their black t-shirts on. We weren't really that bothered about the music, but yeah, I mean, I've always been able to like pop along to gigs of dads because they didn't really care, did they? And at that
Yeah.
time, they let kids in pubs and
Oh,
bar
yeah.
venues and stuff. So we'd be like dancing until we got really hot and bothered, and then we'd fall asleep on a chair somewhere. And yeah, I remember just really wanting to get up and sing when I used to go to there's a pub called the Grapes in Stafford. My dad used to every Sunday play with Derek Holt from Climax Blues Band. They had this great jam night in Stafford every Sunday, and we used to go to that. And I don't know how, because I would have been like 12, 13, even younger.
Yeah.
And my friend Jilly Nichols, she's in her 60s now, but I remember watching her singing with my dad with a tambourine and thinking, I want to do that. I'm going to
Nice.
be like, and there weren't many females on the stage like that I'd see. It was mainly my dad and loads of blokes. But it was great to see Jilly Nichols, and I've told her that. I've told her like what an inspo she was.
Yeah.
And now she's a really good friend of mine, and we started a bit of a Stoke. It was called Stokey Folkies when I lived
Stokey
in
Fokies.
Stoke. Yeah, and it was me, Jilly, and Neil Simpson, who also plays in the Climax Blues Band. So it's quite cool for the circularity. Me watching as I grew up these musicians that my dad was playing with,
Yeah.
and now I gig with them. So that's cool.
That's awesome. That is really cool. So, were your parents supportive of you going into the music industry, or did they give you like some warning stories?
I think they're very easygoing about whatever we want to do. Like, there's never been pressure from them to do anything in particular. My dad's never said it's amazing to be a musician, and he's never said don't do it.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone would stop me doing
Yeah.
music. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just have to do it.
Yeah. So how would you describe your style of music? Because I've listened to quite a bit of it over the last week, um, and my take is that the music is the production values on the songs are fantastic, um, but it is very your voice led, and I really like the way that your voice is centered in the tracks, and the tracks work around it. Because sometimes you get the balance not right, or you can't hear the lyrics properly. But you do have a liking to it for an odd time signature every now and again, and that got me a little bit on a couple of tracks. Can't remember the names. Apologies, I'm not that familiar with them. But yeah, you've got a liking for an odd time signature.
Yeah, I like anything quirky and interesting. I've got such a diverse range of influences through from like I love jazz, blues, like Americana, some pop, some soul, like yeah, my kind of taste in music is really, really diverse. I try and listen to, when I'm driving, like as many different radio stations as I can. But also, I'm classically trained in flute and violin, and I've played in orchestras and sung in choirs. So I've kind of like picked up some, like, all these interesting elements. And when I was at school, I did GCSE music, and what I wanted to do is write film scores, because I'm really visual and like sonic kind of based, and I'm always thinking of, like, when I write a song, it's like sound painting. So there's no genre that I've ever gone out to be. I've never been very much part of a subculture. I've never been like, well, actually, I think I did go through a slightly emo phase when I was in art college. But I've always loved so much music and played so many instruments, and always had that kind of producer's mind. If I write a song, I can hear the melody, I can hear the harmony, I can think, oh, right, this would be nice with a cello. So I asked for a cello for my 25th birthday, and I can play just, nice long vibrato notes where they're needed. So I'll write on piano or guitar, and it'll be whatever mood I'm in. It does not matter. So the genres that you can identify within my music would be, a lot of people say country, but it's not that hunting and fishing like country. It's not like cheesy Texas like driving music. It's kind of just country in that, like, because it's a real guitar. It's singing a story. There's a dark element to it. I think there's a knowing. There's stories about heartbreak in many cases, or like life's ups and downs, as you put on your blog, which I think is a country thing. It's not usually overproduced. I try and avoid that. But then I like a bit of dance music. I like pop. I like R&B. So some of the songs, I think there's only 4 albums at the moment that are up on Spotify. So we're going to be, at the same time as putting my 6th album up online, the 5th one is going to go up as well.
Cool.
So you'll see across those, there's every range from like jazzy retro pop to folky Americana, bluesy. So it's really varied. And yeah, it's that, I think that's almost like, people almost don't like that because they want to put you in a box, but I can't. I just want to keep writing songs, and I don't really care what genre I'm in from one day to the next.
Yeah, I prefer it. I like to not know exactly where the next song is going. You can take an artist like, I don't know, Taylor Swift. Don't come at me, Swifties, but she, while she is a massively successful songwriter, you can tell it's a Taylor Swift song every time, and I prefer to have a little bit more variety and a bit more spice. So so sorry, Swifties. I know there's gazillions of you. It's only my opinion. Oops. So have you got any embarrassing stories from touring or from live shows? Has anything ever gone really hideously wrong for you?
Embarrassing stories. I can't really think of any, apart from the fact that, so I have a really messy car. So whenever anyone tries to like offers to help, which I absolutely love, like, I think it's really nice when a strong man offers to help me carry my gear, like a strong woman equally. But if there's 2 blokes stood by the door of a pub or a venue, and they don't even hold the door open for you, and you're struggling with an amp, and you're like, I think that's a sad fact of today's society. So when they do actually offer to help, I love it. But then I open my car door, and it's like a walk-in wardrobe of shoes. And they're always like, your car's really messy, isn't it? Because I kind of almost live in my car. I've got so many shoes in there. Like, last time I looked, I think there were 25 pairs of shoes. And at the moment, these are the shoes that I'm wearing all the time. These are like fluffy,
Oh, wow.
fluffy sliders. I've got loads of like stilettos, cowboy boots,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So there's shoes all over the floor, and then I've got my sleeping bag in there in case I get caught short and have to sleep. And it's called a Snooze 200, and that's there like semi disemboweled from its bag. Loads of cans of matcha tea, because that's my caffeine. I just drink matcha tea. So, I mean, I don't find it embarrassing.
No,
I'm just like, yeah, that's me.
cool.
I have a really messy car. So when I open my boot, they're like, where shall I put it? And I just have to like sweep all the
Yeah,
shoes aside. But I'm not very easily embarrassed. So I can't really
oh, good,
think of any embarrassing times other
good.
than that.
Okay. So tell us then, what has the rest of 2024 got in store for you?
It's this open horizon of excitement and wonder. I'm now self-employed, so like Pinocchio, I've got no strings to hold me down. I where I live right now, it's a base, but I'm renting out my spare bedroom so that there's someone here to look after the house. I don't have to pay for all the stuff on my own. So I'm kind of free
Mhm.
to I'm this is like free range Heidi now for 2024.
Okay.
I've got a new album which is coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Shout out to Slow Flower Studios in Chester where I recorded it.
definitely.
And myself and my guitarist Bill Randall are doing a hell of a lot of gigs. I'm going like up and down the country. The furthest south is Brighton, the furthest north is Cumbria, and then I'm actually going to go over the border into Scotland. I've got a few gigs up there.
Cool.
So if people want to have a look on my Facebook page, which is
Yeah,
under Heidi Browne Music, Brown with an E,
yeah.
I've just put a poster up there for my May gigs.
Okay.
I've got lots of nice ticketed venues. I'm trying to only play in sort of arty, atmospheric places. So it's already got that kind of spicy,
Mhm.
theatrical, bohemian vibe. You get in there and you already feel part of something.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then my show will be jumping between genres and I'll be chatting about the songs in between. So it's like almost like a cabaret kind of show vibe. So I'm
yeah,
excited to do all of that. Um, so yeah, touring, got the new album out. We've done some live music videos which are going to be going up. They're just in editing stages. But also I think there's a couple of songs on this album that really have like such evocative themes. They need music videos. So I think
yeah.
we're going to be doing a bit of that.
That's
But
fantastic.
just yeah, if anyone's got any gig venues they recommend, then
Yeah,
just message us because
get in
we're
touch.
touring.
Yeah, brilliant.
I
Well,
have a car full of shoes and I'm ready to roam.
and a load of matcha tea as well. Don't forget the matcha tea. Um,
That's it. I get them on mail order, so I've got another box in the kitchen.
do you not get discount by now?
It's well, the way that they line it up, it makes you think you've got a discount. But I just one time really liked this can, and then the next minute I'm paying 45 quid a month for the drinks, and now I just feel obliged to drink them. So it's
Yeah,
just how they get you, isn't it?
it is really. Yeah,
I'm subscribed.
yeah. Well, thank you ever so much for your time. I wish you all the best of luck going forward. I think your music's great. I think it speaks for itself. So thank you very much, Heidi Browne.
Thank you.